In this activity, we'll be creating a program that utilizes advanced match functionality. Once you're ready, let's hop into Visual Studio Code and get started. After Visual Studio Code loads, double-click on Activity 15. Once the activity file loads, review the topic and program requirements. Attempt to implement a solution on your own with the video paused. Once completed, resume the video and I will demonstrate my implementation as well as provide insights to the activity topic. Alright, let's get started. This activity topic is about advanced match functionality. The requirements are to print out a list of tickets and their information for an event. The tickets can either be Backstage, VIP, or Standard. Backstage and VIP tickets include the ticket holder's name, and all the tickets include the price. In our notes, we can see that we need to use an enum for the tickets, and there needs to be data associated with each variance. We need to create one of each ticket and place into a vector, and then we need to use a match expression while iterating the vector to print out the ticket info. I'll start by copying some of the notes into the program space. We need to use an enum for the tickets, so I'll call my enum ticket, and we need to have Backstage, VIP, and Standard tickets. So the first variant, I'll just use Standard. Next, we'll have Backstage, and last, we'll have VIP. It's a good practice to order these alphabetically, so I'm just going to switch up the order and put Backstage first. Next, we need to include the ticket holder's name for both Backstage and VIP tickets. To do so, I will use a string data type as data that's associated with that particular ticket. So we'll do that for the Backstage and for the VIP ticket. We also see a note that indicates all the tickets include the price. For the price, I will use an F64, which is a 64-bit floating point number. And floating point just means you can have a decimal point. So we'll add that to each variant to account for the price. Seeing as all of these include a price, it would be a good idea to have the price first, and then any additional information can come second. So I'm going to change this to have the F64 first, and then the string second. Next, we need to create one of each ticket and place into a vector. I'm going to create the tickets within the vector itself. So I'll create a new vector, I'll call it tickets. I'm going to use the vec macro, and within that vec macro, I'm going to create new tickets. So the first one will be a Backstage ticket. Remember, to access enum variants, you use the double colons to access this section. Backstage includes an F64 for the price and the ticket holder's name. So for Backstage ticket, we'll say it's $50, and the person's name will be Billy. Remember, we have to have a owned string in our enumeration. This, by default, is a string slice, and if we use .toOwned, we'll create an owned string that's suitable for our purposes. Does it for our Backstage ticket. I'll then create a Standard ticket, and the Standard ticket will be $15. And lastly, I'll create a VIP ticket, which can be $30, and this ticket holder's name will be Amy. We now have our vector of tickets created. Next, we need to use a match expression while iterating the vector to print the ticket info. To iterate the vector, we use the for_in keywords. So for ticket, that could be any variable name. In our vector, which is tickets, we're going to do something. As a review, we have for each thing inside a collection. So the collection is tickets, and each thing are these individual tickets here. The for_in construct will execute this code operating on the ticket, which will be one of these on each iteration of the loop. Now we need to match on our ticket in order to print it out. So first we'll match on Backstage tickets. Here we need to make sure we include variable names to capture the information on a backstage ticket. So a backstage ticket has an F64 for the price and a string for the ticket holder. The price, I can just use the variable name price, and ticket holder, I'll just use the variable name holder. We can then use the print line macro to print out information. And we'll say holder, and we'll use debug print, and price, we can also use debug print. And then we just use the variable names to refer to those print line tokens. So holder will go here, price will go here, and we will print out the information needed. These holder and price variables come from here. So this price is here, and the holder is there. We're going to do the same thing for standard and VIP. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Standard doesn't have the ticket holder's name, so it only has a price. So we'll print out just the price. We'll take out the reference to the holder variable. Lastly, we have the VIP, which has price and holder. We also want to include which variant we're printing. So this is a VIP ticket, and this will be backstage ticket. And this one is a standard ticket. As we can see, our lines are getting a little bit long over here. I'm using an automatic formatting tool called Rust Format, and it'll format the code in a way to prevent the lines from extending too far off the side of the page. So once I save this program, it'll automatically format my code. And here we see it changed this line to have curly braces instead of just being a single line. So as we can see, this one was not too long, so it left the line how it is. But this one and this one were a little bit long, so it changed it automatically for me. And as you can see, you can either have just a single expression here, followed by commas, or you can have curly braces to create a scope, which would allow you to do multiple things within a single match arm. In our case, we only need to do one thing, so we'll just leave the code as is. Before I run the program, let's take a walkthrough. We have our enumeration called ticket. It has 3 variants: backstage, standard, and VIP. The backstage variant has some data associated with it, an F64 for price, and a string for the ticket holder name. The standard ticket has a price associated with it. The VIP ticket has a price and a ticket holder name associated with it. Remember that any data associated with the enumeration must be filled in. You can't omit any data. So if you make a VIP ticket, you have to include a price and you have to include the ticket holder name. Here we have our main function, and we're creating 3 tickets using the vec macro. We create a backstage ticket at $50 with the ticket holder name Billy. We then create a standard ticket at $15. And lastly, a VIP ticket with the holder named Amy. After that, we iterate through all the tickets using the for-in keywords. So tickets is here, and that's a vector, which is a collection. So we can iterate through it using for-in. This variable name is arbitrary. You can name it whatever you want, but it's always best to be descriptive. That way you can read it more easily later. We then perform a match expression on the ticket, which is one of these enums here. We have to check for each possibility. We have 3 here, 1, 2, 3. We check for each one. To check for a variant, we type the name of the enumeration, the 2 colons, and then the name of the variant. Since we have to account for data for this particular variant, we also have to include variable names here. You can optionally use an underscore if you want to ignore a particular piece of data. In our case, we want all the data, so we are going to give each one a variable name. We then use the fat arrow to indicate the beginning of the action we want to perform once this match arm is taken. We can use curly braces and list out multiple things to do within the curly braces. We only have one thing we're doing, which is printing out the ticket holder information and the fact that this is a backstage ticket. Next, we're matching on standard and VIP, and the same rules apply to standard matching, where you have to match on each variant. So we have the standard to match, the VIP to match. Both have data associated with them, and both simply print out the information. I'm going to run this and we'll see what happens. To run it, go to Terminal, New Terminal. Type in cargo run -q -bin. We're on activity 15, so type in A15. Once it runs, we have a backstage ticket holder named Billy who paid $50. The standard ticket price is $15 with no name because we don't track the names of the ticket holders. And then a VIP ticket with the ticket holder named Amy and a price of $30. All this information coincides properly with what we've specified in our program, and our program is complete. This is the end of the activity video. I'll see you in the next presentation.